Hey guys, Julian here from SynthwavePro.com. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. Today we're going to take a close look at how to create compelling fade outs. Let's get started. All right, so this week I was working on this Synthwave soundtrack and I wanted to find a compelling way of ending this particular song, right? It's very sort of nostalgic, has this really cool vibe to it. And we're going to explore two ways of ending this song here. So I'm going to start this off from our break section, and we are going to follow it all the way to the end, partly because it is relative to this tutorial. All right, so let's get started. This is version A. All right, nothing wrong with that version. Let's try version B now. Okay, so this is with the fade out. And you guys tell me which version you guys prefer. All right, so here we revisit the classic 1980s fade out, right? Something that was very common during that era. And we're simply applying that to this particular song. Now, I think this is the way to end the song, only because we are essentially repeating this section again and, reintroducing this little motif here, whereby we have the opportunity to apply that fade. That's the best time, I think, to apply a fade out when you are repeating sections. Now, this is a longer song. I'm just playing a portion of this entire thing here. But again, this is a great way of ending soundtracks, right? To keep the sort of party vibe going. So as we fade out, we can still perceive that the song is, the party is yet to be over, and it still lingers despite the fade out. It's not uncommon for engineers to fade out a track midway through the chorus. This can sometimes leave the listener feeling somewhat unfulfilled, as their sonic itch never really gets a satisfying scratch. You see, back in the day, this was an effective strategy that would subconsciously prompt listener playback. So again, something that was very common many decades ago, and the cool thing is that there is sort of an art to fading out a soundtrack, right? It's not just about slapping, for instance, a utility plugin and just carving out this line so that it goes down to infinity dB and then we're good to go. There's, you need to take into consideration how that curve goes from full volume all the way down to infinity. And sometimes depending on what kind of engineer you are, you can tease the listener. So obviously, as we come out of this section, our listener gets another dose of that melodic line, da, 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 da. And so it's up to us whether or not we want to tease them, whether or not we want them to hear the full line or fade out a little ahead of time. Now, I've decided to give them the opportunity of listening to the entire line, but if I really wanted to troll a listener, I would probably fade out much harder and not give the listener the opportunity of reaching that sort of satisfaction of hearing this sort of melodic line here come to fruition. So let's go ahead and play what this sounds like if I were to slide this a little ahead of time. See, that to me sounds so unsatisfying because you want to hear the rest of the line. You want to hear the da 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 da, all that kind of stuff, right? And so by not giving the listener that, you're kind of leaving them, I guess, wanting more. And a lot of engineers would do that, by the way. They would deliberately silence or fade out the track very quickly so that as a listener, you had to go back and rewind. I'm talking about old school cassette tapes here. And this would basically get you hooked on the song because you wanted to have that satisfaction, that sort of level of satiety was unfulfilled. And so that's one way of getting people to listen to your tracks a little more. But in this context, I'm going to give them what they want and extend this out so that they really hear the entire sequence. All right, somewhere around here, so they can imagine the rest. At least they sort of get that satisfaction. So really quickly, there is a cool way of applying these fades. You can highlight a section and then right click and select one of these modes here. And this is exactly what we've done. And so we have this type of curve here. And then once I hit the options key, I can basically adjust the level at which the fade out will occur. So let's sort of, make some alterations and see what this sounds like. All right, that to me is a little abrupt. All right, let's try the other way. So we have a sharp decline in amplitude as we make our way to the fade out section and we keep going downwards. Let's play this out. All right, that's too sharp for me. I think it's a little too abrasive in terms of volume changes. It really stands out. So you want something a little more gradual, something along these lines, right? Easy peasy. I hope this was helpful, and as always, stay safe, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye.